Why, hello everybody. How's everyone doing today? It's been quite a while since I've done a, commentary style esque, but I wanted to do a, how do I say, an echo farming route or so. So as everyone has noticed, everyone has done, I might be a little bit late to the whole, you know, withering waves, echo farming, mining farming, or the fastest or whatever. But like, I have to say, I've seen most of them, and a lot of them are seems to be a little bit a little too in depth, right? So instead of me focusing on I should say the hardcore player base, right? I think for me specifically in this video, I want to focus on the casual people side, right? People who don't have enough time in the world to, to do a super in-depth, kind of oh, you gotta go here, go there, and, go over there, Someone posted on the Reddit or so of the most recent, I think like a couple days ago or so, about echo farming, and I do have to say there's a little, I have to criticize, well, yeah, I have to criticize that there are some dead zones in between the routes here and there. For those who are farming or so of echoes at the moment, some of them would know because it's Reddit at the end of the day. So, um, definitely one of the things is that I wanted to tackle on the more casual side since my friend and I know that a few others just don't seem to have that much time in the world. Now, for me specifically, I don't really do the entire route itself either. And I decided to focus on, hey, let's have a good amount of elites and a good amount of commons. So then you can use some of the commons and throw it into the data bank and then, shift them around or so and get some new ones, new echoes in the rotation. So where I want to focus the most is, well, I should say, at least the first part of the area where you want to farm, right? Usually you want to farm from the top of the map all the way to the bottom of the map. So for those who have not unlocked, let's say the full story, let's just say you got busy, you got a little bit sidetracked or whatever, so forth, so forth. The first area that you want to focus on the most is the Desert Rock area, which is a very fantastic spot on the map itself. If you go to the teleporter that's at the top, so you start at the top, where it's basically where at the pointy rock mountain or so, right? It's basically where the withering front line is at, and also where the tempest, I think, the thundering tempest, I think, where the boss fight is at. So if you want to start from there specifically, you can, there would usually be behind you, well, the moment you spawn in, there would be what is it, a wind bird and a thundering bird with, I think 3 or 4, I think one's a fusion, one's a, also spectral rock, or spectral prism, one of the two or so. Specifically, you can beat those up, and then you can just go straight jumping down from if you're going straight. And when you fall down specifically, you will notice a spider car. Well, they have a proper name, but that's usually is what I call them because it's literally a spider car. Then after from there, you will see another one on the left-hand side, and then from there will be a couple of Tic Tacs that will be coming after you, which is these little guys with balls. And then from there, you cross the river to the other side. Well, you will meet, of course, the humanoid, I guess you can say the humanoid discords, I guess, tacits, I guess is what that's what the terms they are called. You will immediately fight one elite from there, and then you cross to the opposite side of the river, and you'll fight another elite, which is, I think if I remember, the flautist or the flutist. And then from there, you'll find another elite. As you can tell, most of these elites have what basically is what you're kind of looking for specifically. When it comes to, at least, the specific, how do I say this? The specific element that you kind of want, because the elites are the most important ones, of course. But then at the same time, right, while you're farming this specific route, you'll be able to, how do I say this? You'll be able to also do the data bank while you're farming these, trying to get I guess you could say decent echoes from them. And it's a nice way to do it all at once, since you don't have to worry about it too much specifically. Because in this specific area, right, you have your, how do I say this? I guess like your purple guardian specifically, and you have your stone guardian, you have your purple tamburist. They have really important elements specifically of what you're looking for. Of course, if you're looking for freezing frost, and then the sun sinking eclipse, which is the havoc set for, I guess you can say, a good amount for the players themselves, especially for the rover, or unless if you want to go for a different set itself, like the void, overall, right? Specifically that, like, you want, if you're, well, at the beginning of the game, you'll have the celestial light set for the rover, because the rover will be spectro. So I have to say, like, the spider tank will also be a nice good way to farm for these specific, which also shows up actually in this route, funny enough about it, and actually a few other mobs in general, like even the common ones, right? We'll also have some of the Celestials light, which will kind of, roll the light for you. They also have Havoc warriors in this general vicinity of an area, which is not a bad idea whatsoever. I think it would be a good start to farm, as well as you have some of the fusion warriors, who are, these weird stabby guys that like to stab you, which are common, right? And the best part about it is that they roll into one of the three subsets, which is Molten Rift, Void Thunder, Sierra Gale. You also have Electro Predator, which has the Molten Rift and then the Void Thunder. And even along the way, you will also meet the big purple flower that I don't know off the top of my head, but you also have a chance for it to roll into the Sun Sinking Eclipse, which is the Havoc damage set, and also the Freezing Frost, which is also pretty good for, if you have, let's say, Ling Yang, of course. And I don't know if there's another ice character, not off the top of my head, because I'm doing this off the top of my head, but even then, it's still, if you have him, well, you got that. Oh, and if you want to do DPS Baiji, I guess you could do that. I don't know why, but hey, you know what? It is what it is, right? Don't worry, I'm gonna be doing that too, just cause. Why not? Of course, the second route or so where I wanted to take a look at, which is in the middle of Desert Rock area, of course, before you hit, the frontier line or so, is basically more of a, I guess you can say, a little bit more of the commons, right? Where you tackle, also black bears along the way, which they drop the Moonlit Cloud and the Lingering Tunes. And then from there, you also tackle on the turtles, which they drop the Freezing Frost and the Celestial Light. And of course, still one of the best echoes in the game. Just saying anyways. While you're also there at the beginning, you will also find the Cruise Wing, which will drop a Celestial Light, Rejuvenating Glow, or a Moonlit Cloud. And there's all about like 6 of them in that specific area, while also on top of that, there are pigs in that area as well, which also drops Freezing Frost, Sierra Gale, and Moonlit Cloud, which are not too bad to be, for safe, for those who are trying to find at least Sierra Gales or Freezing Frost. And then from there specifically, you'll find, I think if I remember correctly, I think I could be wrong, but I think they're called Junk Rocks or June Rocks, Vanguard June Rocks or so. Which drops, of course, the Void Thunder and Rejuvenating Glow and Lingering Tunes. Which also, these are pretty good for certain characters. Of course, the healing set will always be good on Baiji, and also the new 5-star character, which I don't remember off the top of my head, of course. After there, you'll be fighting another black bear. Even though you fought 3 black bears downstairs, you'll be fighting another one specifically, which is pretty great overall, which I do not personally hate, especially if you're trying to find, a specific type of, how do I say this? A specific type of, echo thing. Granted, of course, it is the energy set and the, the Lingering Tunes, right? Which I don't think it's a bad set, right? Especially the Moonlit Cloud, it says after using an outro skill, increases the attack of the next resonator by 22.5% for 15 seconds, which is actually pretty good for buffing and, quick swapping or so to another character. And just buffing your, I guess you can say, your DPS if you're gonna bring in. From there, from the Blackberry, you'll find actually the lizards, right? You'll have one big lizard, which drops the Molten Rift, and then the Moonlit Cloud, which is not too bad because, of course, as you all don't know, the elites themselves drop the elemental bonus damage that you kind of want the most, specifically for, your character alone, or energy recharge. One of the two. And of course, the young lizard itself will drop the Molten Rift and the Void Thunder and the Lingering Tunes, which are going to need, of course, commons along the build itself. From there, you work your way down, and then you'll see another 2 lizards, of course. You'll work your way down, and I think it's a June Rock, but I could be wrong. It could be the other set. Even if I'm wrong, I will correct it or so with the text on top. From there, you keep going down the path or so, and then you'll see 2 Stone Guardians just chilling on the floor. And their set drops off the Rejuvenating Glow and the Moonlit Clouds, which is also pretty good for the healers themselves, which is not a bad for the elites themselves. And then from there, of course, I think it's another June, what are they called? June Rocks? They'll be there as well. There won't be any issues. And also, I did forget to almost say on top of that too, they also come with the Purple Wolf as well. So you have the big wolves, and then you have the small wolves. And then the Purple Wolves will drop the Molten Rift and the Sun Sinking Eclipse. Like I said, not too bad at all. 2 sets that's really pretty good that a lot of the characters are using quite a lot or so these days, which is Danjin, of course. You got, I call it Mordecai, even though he's called Mortify. And then, and Chixia as well. Maybe a few more that I don't remember off the top of my head. Like I said, I don't have all the characters, but anyways, still pretty good. Not too bad, and it still tackles quite a lot of the mobs that you kind of need, which is common, and then some of the elites as well. So in this specific route, right, which is the Clouded Cliffs, as you can see here, right, you will start with the teleporter at the top left. And instead of going down straight, you would go up to the left and then do a hook going downwards. Granted, of course, you can go through the Clouded Cliff camp that's right there in the middle to gain some materials, because there are some bandits in the near area, which is not bad, not bad at all. Knock 2 birds with 1 stone, basically. And then you kill the 2 black bears, right? For those who are looking for the Moonlit Cloud and the Lingering Tunes, which is not a bad set at all. The next, right after that, you go to the right, and you will find, 3 pigs there, which will, drop the Freezing Frost, Sierra Gale, and the Moonlit Clouds. From that, from there, you work your way downwards where the icon on the left is at, and there'll be their dragonflies, which we already know what they are already, because I've already explained it earlier today. And then also at the same time, when you go downwards towards the hill, towards the right of that icon, it will have actually another set of 3 pigs from there. And then from there on, you work your way downwards towards the map itself, and then you have Purple Dog. That's what I usually call it, but I know it's called something else, right? Drops the Molten Rift and then the Sun Sinking Cliffs, right? Not really that heavy, it's all basically is what it is. From there specifically, it'll usually be with a Fusion Dread main, which is the lower version of the Elite, which will have the Molten Rift and the Rejuvenating Glow, which you're probably going to be needing for your healer sets as well. And then from there on, you move downwards, and then it's going to be the same 2 from the last one, which will be, Stone Guardian, and then also the little, I think if I remember correctly, they're the June Rocks, but I could be totally wrong of what they could specifically be. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Of course, it is up to you at the, at your dispense. But for those who wanting to have more of a quicker route, of course, this is where you're gonna have to, go here. Granted, of course, it really all depends how much damage you do. Sometimes you might take longer, sometimes you take shorter. But most of the times for me, it takes about an hour, roughly about an hour to complete the entire, route itself without having it a big deal. And also at the same time, you do actually progress faster in the data bank once you have this entire route down to the teeth, and then after a while, you're not going to be needing it anymore since you'll be finished with it anyways. So the next area is kind of like more of the, I guess you could say, the more bigger area in this region, which is called the Sea of Flames, which has quite a good variety of, I should say, like a lot of the commons, and there's also some elites that are kind of interesting that they have. Like they have a good bundle or so, right? They have the Chase Razor, the Auto Puppet Scout, they have the Chasm Guardian in here, and also they even have the Rocksteady Guardian on top of that, right? And also they have the Tambourine. I just say Tambourine. Tambourine Elite. And to be honest, they actually are pretty great. And I think if I remember correctly, I think the flutist or the flautist, or however you want to pronounce his name, is also in here too as well, which of course they provide a really good from the Freezing set, Celestial set, Sierra Gale, Moonlit, Rejuvenating Glow, Lingering Tunes, Void Thunder, Lingering Tunes again, Celestial Light, Rejuvenating Glow, Freezing Frost, Sun Sinking Eclipse. And as you can tell, most of these are going to be pretty well mostly important to get. As well, on top of that, some of the commons that you get here as well are the Fusion Warriors, which has the Molten Rift and the Void Thunder and the Sierra Gale. Of course, these are basically the same as from the Frontier area where you farm at the Desert Rock area, of course. And then you also have the Arrow Predator, which has the Void Thunder and the Sierra Gale. You also have the Electro Predator as well for the Molten Rift and the Void Thunder, which I do have to say, there are a good amount of these. And also there is the, the Havoc Warrior here as well. And as you can tell, if you follow, from the domain itself, and then work your way upwards, and then you take a left or so from the tippy top. Unfortunately, it got cut off. Unfortunately, I didn't get the full map itself. But if you go upwards or so, and then take a left, and then you go downwards from there, as you can tell from the line itself, where it's connected specifically. And there's also one that, well, granted, I can't really put a marker in between these two because of the building inside, but there are some Havoc Warriors inside the building themselves. 2 of them. Then you walk out, and then you should be able to hit the other ones specifically from there. Of course, my red line will clearly, show how where they're at and how it's supposed to be done, of course. The next area I wanted to tackle was by Lake Heights. Of course, it's a more smaller and faster route, but it does actually target to some of the actual mobs that you don't see quite consistently on the route itself, because I wanted to find somewhere where it had like these specific mobs, but making sure that there were not that many, which became the common wolves, 1 elite wolves, and actually some of the prisms, which is the ball crystal thing, right? There is a spectral, there is a, I guess you can say, fusion, of course. I was gonna say pyro, Genshin Impact. But anyways, there's also some of the blue pufferfishes, and there's also 1 black pufferfish in this general vicinity. It's quite quick. It's nothing really to scoff for, but it's definitely good for your data bank at the end of the day, right? And if you can get a couple of these, right, you can always throw these, these suckers into the data bank and then re-roll them into something different at the end of the day. The Forbidden Forest is one of the next areas, which of course, this has a good variety of the elite purple plant, the common purple plant, and also a few monkeys. Also, on top of that, this actually has also some humanoids with Tic Tacs, or TikToks, or whatever they're called. I think they're called Tic Tacs. Which just comes with the flutist and the tambourist, right? The humanoid the humanoid enemies themselves. But it's a really nice, I should say, kind of like a good route specifically. It's small and short, very quick or so. You won't have too much of a problem of going through it specifically, as you'd see here on the map itself. And also should help out at least a little bit on of course, the data bank itself. Granted, of course, you will miss a few here and there, but it's nothing like too serious or anything like that, right? which of course, I'll show at the end of which ones you kind of miss here and there, depending on like how your role is, of course, because granted at the same time, right? It's a certain percentage drop rate for some of these, so it's not always a guaranteed. The first part of Giant Banyan also has a few of, well, I should say just one of the elites for flowers, and then most of them is pretty much monkeys, and then at the end of the route you have some wolves fighting against monkeys themselves. But there are quite actually a few amount of the elite monkeys, specifically if you're trying to get some of the arrow damage set for either Jinyan or Xianyun. If I'm saying those names correctly, I have probably butchered them at the end of the day. But if you're looking for specifically the arrow damage set, Echo, this is probably one of the best ones here, specifically for them. And I have to say, I've gotten quite a few good pieces from here too, as well. And then of course there is a part 2 to this, which will be rolling over to now, which is Giant Banyan 2, where this actually has quite a few enemies, which they have from the Stone Guardian to the turtles, and of course I think they have the Frost Rock little ball fusion thing. More elite plants, more monkeys. You also got some of the spider cars at the very end, and then of course you have just more common and elite monkeys, where this has quite a good variety themselves compared to the other one, where it just mostly focuses more on the elite monkeys and just monkeys in general, right? But this one has also a good variety in it on itself, which is not a bad idea to farm on top of that. So yeah, like I said, this is kind of a route that I kind of like took my time or so in order for me to take around in the area, right? The whole point of the route itself is to have a good mob density, where there's a lot in a small area where you can get it done pretty quick without having any issues whatsoever, because some people just don't have all the time in the world, right? I don't have enough time in the world. Maybe someone that doesn't have all the time in the world, but they want to farm and want to get those echoes. Well, as long as they can spend at least 1 hour at least, you can use this route. It's actually pretty effective. I actually managed to get up to level 18 relatively really fast on just doing that route specifically, especially like if you don't unlock the story. And even then, it's just that like most of the mobs that are in the northern part that's locked away behind the story, a lot of them are also specifically are here. There are some that that you sometimes, I think there's like one or so that you miss, which is the scorpion, but that's not really a huge deal. You can easily search it up in the databanks and it'll point you where it'll be at the same time. The zigzag, I think what they're called. Let me see real fast. Yes, zigzags. They are called zigzags. And zigzags, there are some there, but the problem is like it's very few in between. Same with Whiff-Waff, zigzags, and I think a few other ones. I think traffic light doesn't show up as much in this one. So like I said, there's still some, and of course the bosses, but we don't count the bosses, of course. At the end of the day, those are just completely, you go up to them and it's optional, right? And I do have a little bit of bonus to it as well that one of my viewers gave it to me. I didn't get the chance to check on them, but you can definitely check them guys yourself. Yes, as well. It's funny because on stream we call it, Penis Rock Island or so, because it does look like a penis anyways. But overall, I wanted to share this specifically for like those people who just don't have time. I get it. There's a lot of people that are going into this hardcore, and I understand I am completely late on this. I'm like 1 week. Everyone's done this like in the matter of 2 to 3 days, but I feel like it's a little bit too soon, especially like while for me is like I'm focusing more on the casual people who are just like not hardcore or just doesn't have enough time, who have more responsibilities, have a job, have a wife, have a kids, just other things in matter in life. But they do want to play the game. They just don't want to sink in like 4, 5, 6, 8 hours into the game in order to get some echoes, something to work with, right? Which, this is what I provided to do. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really do love Withering Waves, and I just wanted to, I guess, throw a piece of content out there. That's something that I do like. Like I said, I upload whatever I like on this channel, specifically because it's my channel at the end of the day, so I'll do what I want. And don't worry, the reaction stuff will still be there. I've just been slowing down a little bit because I'm trying to focus on Withering Waves. New gacha game came out. One of my favorite studios, which is Kuro Games, because they've done PGR. And yeah, also, make sure I was gonna say, you can leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and let me know what you guys think on the route itself. Do you guys enjoy it? Do you guys like it? You guys hate it? Up to you. Anyways, but if you guys subscribe or so, I will be putting out an actual review or so on this game itself, especially from someone who has played Genshin Impact since the closed beta, Honkai Star Rail, and also Wuwa and PGR since the release in China. And I've also played a few actual single player games. And I have to say, as much as everyone glosses over the final act, well, you guys will see it in the actual review or so coming in the few couple of days or so. I'll just be working on it. I'll be doing the recording or so, and then I'll be sending it over to one of my editors, who will be helping me out for that, because I just been having some issues here and there with my wrist or so for editing. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, peace.